All right, so I was going to record a 2 or 3 round mock draft this week for you guys, but this 1 round mock with trades went so haywire at times that I just figured that it was kind of too good to pass up in terms of content to kind of get out to you guys. I think it's super out of the box, I guess I would say. But it's funny if you do a mock draft without trades and then a mock draft with trades. It's incredible how different they actually do turn out. So there's going to be a lot of names I feel like from past mock drafts that I've done that might be missing from this one, and then a lot that might be going later than usual. So this one was just super interesting. I know it's just a 1 round mock, and I've been pretty adamant about doing 2 round mocks, 3 round mocks, stuff like that to give to you guys. But I thought this one would be fun, a little bit of a lighter week for everyone, until we start getting, what is this, week 13 or 14? It's unbelievable how fast this year has gone. But as we get towards the end of the NFL season, we will obviously get more serious every week, more 3 round mocks, maybe even a 5. And then, of course, I said that I only do 1 7 round mock per year, but I will do 2. I'm going to do one at the end of the regular season. Then I'm going to do one as my last video before the actual NFL mock draft in 2024. So without further delay, I think we should just get into it. But before we do get into it, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. And please leave a like on this video. It helps way more than you know. So the Chicago Bears are up at number 1. And I feel like I flip-flopped the last couple weeks. 2 weeks ago, I think I had them stay at number 1. Oh, wait, no, I think I traded it 2 weeks ago. And then last week, I had them stay at number 1 and take a quarterback. I'm going to have them stay at number 1 again. I just think that it's not often that a team, super not often, that a team gets the number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row and you trade it 2 years in a row. I think they stay at number 1. I don't think they take a quarterback here. I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think just the best player overall in the entire draft class. I know some people, I feel like over the past few weeks, at least from the comment sections that I'm getting, are kind of souring on Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe it's because of the draft stock that comes with him. You're looking at someone that's going to get drafted at the very latest, 4 or 5. A wide receiver getting drafted that high is not something that you see every single day. So I don't know if people are thinking, oh, you could still get a great receiver, in the 2nd round or 3rd round of this draft class, which is true. It's definitely true. But there's a disconnect, I feel like, with a lot of fans where they'd rather settle for the lesser talent in the middle rounds than get an elite talent earlier in the early rounds. I don't understand that. I've had that conversation with so many different commenters over the months, weeks, years, whatever it may be. I just never understood why you would, take someone and not want to have the better version of it. For me, my favorite is always offensive line, where it's like, oh, we don't need a left tackle. We have one that's serviceable. Okay, well, if you have a 1998 Buick and someone offers you a 2023 Maserati, you're going to say, you know what? No, I have an efficient 1998 car. I'm not going to take the Maserati. I'm going to stick with what I got. I know that's a pretty surface level comparison, but it kind of holds true. So I never understood that. There's some kind of disconnect between, actual true talent, 1st round talent, and then day 2 talent. So whatever, a little tangent that I went on there, but I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. with the number 1 overall pick. I think he's the best player in the entire draft, and that does include every single quarterback. So I'm going to take him here. Obviously, not the biggest need, I would say, for Chicago. Yeah, they could take a receiver, but when you got the number 1 overall pick, you're obviously trying to get the best player in the entire draft, and I think that is Marvin Harrison Jr. here. And then at number 2, I feel like Drake May is way more of a Patriots pick than Caleb Williams. Maybe that's because my brain has been trained for this Bill Belichick Patriot way, which obviously looks like it's on the way out after this year. But until we see that actually confirmed, I'm still going to think to myself, well, we're going to look at the Patriot way. And I feel like Drake May embodies the Patriot way a little bit more than Caleb Williams does. Not only that, I feel like there's certain attributes that Drake May has that a lot of teams might value over Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is still the best quarterback in this entire draft class. I think it's a lot closer than people think between Caleb Williams and Drake May, but Drake May's ability to be a passer in the pocket and be comfortable in the pocket, for me, is a skill that he holds over Caleb Williams. Also, his deep ball in general, his deep ball accuracy, his deep ball grade, has been tremendous the past couple years. I believe he had a higher passing grade this year on deep passes than last year. And last year it was like a 94.1. So he's just getting better as time goes on, it seems. But I think he does have a little bit more of those qualities that the Patriots organization looks for in not only quarterbacks, just players in general. So I'm going to take Drake May here with the number 2 overall pick. And then I feel like maybe this is exactly where the draft starts. With Marvin Harrison Jr. gone, I feel like this is a great scenario for the Arizona Cardinals. With Marvin Harrison Jr. gone at number 3 overall and Caleb Williams is still on the board, they're probably going to get a bevy of phone calls for trade down. So I'm going to trade the number 3 overall pick to the New York Giants here. And since today this is only a 1-round mock draft, I'm not going to be getting too much into the trading part of it. I'm not really going to talk about the swapping of assets. That's usually for like a 2 or 3 round mock, something that will affect the actual draft capital of the video. So the New York Giants move up to number 3 overall from number 8. It's going to cost them a pretty penny. I think to get this trade done, it took me a second, well, obviously the number 8 overall pick, a second rounder, and then a first rounder for next year. So it's a pretty price to pay considering that you have a quarterback on the roster that's already getting paid $45 million, but it's an untradeable contract. And at this point, I mean, seeing what Tommy DeVito is able to do with the Giants offense and what Daniel Jones could not, I feel like he's pretty unplayable at this point. The Giants fans run really hot and cold with Daniel Jones, but I think Tommy Cutlet's play the last couple weeks has shown that, yeah, maybe Daniel Jones really isn't the answer, and the contract was a huge mistake. But it becomes much more palatable after next year. They could trade him or cut him, I believe, for $22 million, which seems crazy, but it's a lot better than $45 million. So I think you start the future now. And don't get me wrong, I think Tommy DeVito is a really cool story. I think he's a good player for what he is, but he is not the franchise quarterback of the New York Giants. Let's not even go down that road. Speaking from a true Italian as well, coming from the tri-state area, I love Tommy Cutlets as much as the next guy, but yeah, he's not the franchise guy. Caleb Williams is going to be the pick here for me if he's on the board past number 2 overall. And then at number 4, see, the next 3 picks were really interesting for me here. I'm going to make a trade between Washington and Las Vegas, and the only reason why, I don't think that Vegas is afraid of what Chicago or Washington is going to do per se. I think that the trade up from 6 to 4 just confirms that they get the quarterback prospect that they want. I think that's what it is. And honestly, if I was an organization and I was kind of worried about other teams trading up in front of me, I would do the exact same thing. I would be willing to part ways with assets just to make sure I get that guy that I'm willing to build my franchise around. And that's what the Washington Commanders and the Las Vegas Raiders are going to do right now. So this is going to seem super high for another quarterback here. I feel like just even a couple weeks ago, we were talking about maybe Drake May and Caleb Williams being the only 2 quarterbacks that can be taken inside the top 5. But, at 6, this was going to be the pick anyway. So you might as well just make it at 4 as well. I'm going to take Jaden Daniels for the Las Vegas Raiders here at number 4. Like I said, the trade up was really just to confirm that they get the player that they actually want, because we've seen it in years past. Teams are willing to deal with other teams. The way that I think about it as a Jets fan, last year, it seemed like I think it was the New England Patriots were willing to deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers because they wanted Broderick Jones, and the Jets wanted Broderick Jones. So a little bit of pettiness in there. But I think just trading up to confirm that you get the player that you want is fine. It only took a mid-round pick to move up a couple spots here. So I'm going to take Jaden Daniels. If there was any doubts that the Raiders needed a quarterback, Sunday confirmed it. They lost 3. It's not often gives up 3 points and you lose the football game. And that's exactly what the Raiders did. They were able to generate 0 offense, and it's been a struggle since honestly Jimmy Garoppolo went down, and it was even a struggle before then. So Jaden Daniels is going to be the pick here for me at number 4 overall. And then at number 5, I really wanted to trade, but I couldn't really justify a trade up for any of the only team that I was thinking about would be willing to maybe make a trade up for a quarterback is one of these 2 teams here, Seattle and New Orleans. And especially with New Orleans draft capital, I feel like moving up from 12 to 5 is a lot. We'll get back to that in a couple picks. And same thing with Seattle. I mean, Seattle already doesn't have a second round pick, so it was kind of tough to maneuver without destroying their entire draft class it was going to be tough to maneuver from 13 all the way to 5. So the Chicago Bears stick and pick yet again. Maybe that's a mistake, maybe not. I would like to trade one of these picks down to acquire future assets, but I guess we'll just hold off to that for another week. So I'm going to stick and pick with a defender that I think is not getting maybe as much love as he should, and that's going to be Jared Verse for me here. Super close between Latu, Turner, and Verse. I just think that Verse fits what Chicago's defensive scheme is a little bit better than Dallas Turner. And then you have Jared Verse, who's as strong as an ox, who has been healthy as well. And then Latu, who has that injury designation behind him. So I think Verse being the healthier, younger prospect as well, and more of a scheme fit would make more sense for the Chicago Bears here at number 5. And then Washington at number 6 takes the bet. They have their pick of the litter of any offensive tackle that they want. Some people think Joe Alt is tackle 1. I still think Ola Fashanu is. It's super close between the two. I just think Fashanu has more raw athleticism and raw power and strength than Alt. And to me, that is a huge factor in being a great offensive lineman at the NFL level. So Fashanu is going to be the pick at number 6. And then you have my New York Jets at number 7 here. And I think this is a perfect trade up spot for any team that wants to trade up, because I feel like the New York Jets, especially since they are sort of transitioning into a team that really, really values draft assets, I think this is going to be a clear trade down spot for the New York Jets here. I know it's 7. Joe Alt is on the board. I know it's a tough pill to swallow for teams, for fans of the team itself, but I think the Jets would be willing to move down a few spots to acquire a mid-round pick than to have that massive gap between number 7 and I believe it's 68 or 69 or 70, whatever it may be. So I'm going to trade down here. And I think the Saints are a team that have seen enough. They've seen enough picks go by before another team could possibly leapfrog them for another quarterback. The New Orleans Saints, I think, have a contending roster in the NFC, except for the quarterback position. So I'm going to make a trade up here. The Saints are going to move up to number 7 with the New York Jets. And with the acquisition of a mid-round pick and then another mid-round pick in the year prior, the New Orleans Saints move up to number 7, and they're going to take Bo Nix here. The more that I've watched Bo Nix the past few weeks on film, he really, really reminds me of Drew Brees. He's not the biggest quarterback. He doesn't have the strongest arm necessarily, but he's deadly accurate. At least the last couple of years, he's been deadly accurate. He's a great playmaker, and he can make every throw that you want from an NFL quarterback. So I just think that New Orleans, with an aging roster, is going to be looking to make a trade up for someone that can make an immediate impact. The Derek Carr contract obviously looks like a mistake. Jameis Winston is Jameis Winston. He's always going to be hilarious, and he's going to be a great backup. But Bo Nix is going to be the pick here for me at number 7. Might be a little high for Bo Nix. Maybe even could have got him at number 12. But I'm just trying to think in terms of actual NFL draft. And there's another team. Seattle was another team on my radar that can go, you know what? New Orleans isn't making a move. We're going to leapfrog them, and we're going to draft a quarterback. Also, Atlanta sitting there at number 11 is a team that could take a quarterback as well. So New Orleans just jumps all of them, goes back to a willing trade partner with the New York Jets, and they get their man, and that's going to be Bo Nix. The Arizona Cardinals at number 8. Now, they have their pick of the litter of wide receivers here. Malik Neighbors, Keon Coleman, Rome Odunze, Emeka Ibuka, Adonai Mitchell, whatever it may be. What they don't have their pick of the litter of is defensive lineman. And at number 8, if the best defensive lineman is still on the board, and then there's pretty much a massive gap, I think Leonard Taylor is a fine player. I also think Devondre Sweat is great in his own right, but none of them are Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton is a fantastic run defender. He's a great pass rusher as well, and he'd be an immediate impact. He's a scheme fit either way. If Arizona decides to play 4-3 or a multiple front, odd front, 3-4, whatever it may be, he is interchangeable at defensive tackle, at 5 tech, at defensive end, whatever he wants to be. He can play. He is incredible. I think he's the best defensive player in the entire draft, and Arizona get a true scheme fit here in Jerzon Newton. And then at number 9, you have the Tennessee Titans. Pretty simple. If Joe Alt is on the board, I mean, you got to take him here. Man, Will Levis has that dog in him. I mean, you might not like him as a quarterback. Maybe you don't even like him as a person for whatever reason. But yet, man, you can't knock his competitiveness, his toughness. Is just willing to win a football game is infectious. I would want to play for someone like Will Levis. So you need to protect him so he can play every single game. So Joe Alt is going to be the pick here for me at number 9. And then this is a really big win for the Los Angeles Chargers. In other mocks that I did earlier today before this one, I often found myself trading up a few spots with the Chargers to get their man. I know trading up for a tight end this early in the first round is crazy, but Brock Bowers is no ordinary tight end. In my opinion, he's one of the best tight end prospects I've ever seen, probably the best tight end prospect since Gronk. I think he is overall a better prospect than Kyle Pitts was coming out of college. Really just the whole blocking aspect of everything. He's also speedy as well, kind of sneaky athletic. He's just a tremendous player overall, and that's someone that the Los Angeles Chargers desperately need to add to their roster. I mean, I know they went with a wide receiver in the first round last year with Quentin Johnston, but this is like Weapon X right here. Brock Bowers, the guy can do it all. He could block. He could, move out into the slot. He could play in 12 personnel. He could play inline. He's just a fantastic player, and I think this is exactly what the Chargers and Justin Herbert needs in LA. Atlanta at number 11 here. Now, I know that Michael Penix Jr., J.J. McCarthy still on the board. These are really the only other two quarterbacks I'd consider taking in the first round here. I love Michael Penix Jr. as well. Love J.J. McCarthy too. I would actually think the fit for the type of offense that Arthur Smith is running, I think J.J. McCarthy would be a better fit than Michael Penix Jr., but I'm going to hold off on that for now. With Malik Neighbors still on the board, I feel like it would be stupid not to take him, especially since he's such a great contrast to really anything else that the Atlanta Falcons have on their roster. And can you imagine any quarterback, even if it's still Desmond Ridder, can you imagine Desmond Ridder or whoever it may be throwing to Malik Neighbors, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, like the list goes on. They would have an insane offense. He offers a really nice contrast from Drake London. You got your traditional, X receiver, someone that's a possession type of guy, and then Neighbors that you could put all over the offensive scheme and he could run wild. I think this would be a really great fit. I know a lot of Falcons fans are going to be disappointed you want a quarterback, but I can't pass up the value that Malik Neighbors would bring at number 11. And you have my New York Jets at number 12 here. And I'll be honest with you, with that acquisition of the mid-round pick, now I'm less inclined to take a offensive tackle because to me, the class is very deep and we haven't seen that many offensive tackles go off the board here. But Malik Neighbors, the pick of Malik Neighbors might start a trend here for some wide receivers. So with the New York Jets at number 12, I'm going to take Rome Odunze. And fellow Jets fans might hate this pick. I think adding a wide receiver is crucial this offseason. I mean, Allen Lazard has been an absolute bust. Garrett Wilson can't do it on his own. I mean, we're relying on Xavier Gipson to be our wide receiver too right now. And Xavier Gipson is a fine player, fine gadget player, good return man as well, a really good find for an undrafted free agent. But you can't rely on that. And you're relying on Tyler Conklin as well, who's a fine tight end, but you need something more. And Odunze is pretty much as good as it gets for the size, speed, the ability to win down the field, all three levels. He's fantastic. And if Aaron Rodgers is coming back playing healthy next year, having Rome Odunze on one side and having Garrett Wilson either play in the slot or out wide as well is just two tremendous options right there. So Odunze was the pick. At 13 here, with kind of really nothing left on the board that I like, I don't think Penix Jr. is a great fit. I'm not really entirely sold on McCarthy being a great fit in Seattle as well. I just personally, I don't think that McCarthy would be able to step in year one and be effective for a team that has a playoff caliber roster. I think they'd be looking more towards someone maybe like a Bo Nix or, a Jaden Daniels, someone that would be more ready day one than JJ McCarthy. And the whole Penix thing, I know that he has a ton of weapons to throw to. I think the injury history is just going to knock maybe a team or two off, except for the team that's going to trade up for number 13. Kind of with that big gap, I'm not a fan of those big gaps in the draft order for teams. So Seattle has a big gap between 13. They don't have a second round pick, and they got 2 third round picks here. So I'm going to try and close that gap, and we're going to trade with the Minnesota Vikings here. So the Minnesota Vikings move up from 22 to 13 here, and they take their quarterback of the present maybe. I think J.J. McCarthy long-term would be a nicer play for Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings, but Penix Jr. is someone that could kind of step in right away, and there's no certainty that Kirk Cousins comes back next year. They're going to need someone, Josh Dobbs has been borderline terrible since coming over to Minnesota, besides for that first game, and I think you need someone that's going to make more of an impact right away. And I think Penix Jr. with that offensive line and those weapons, you're more than comfortable throwing him out there and letting him throw to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, guys like that. So Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the pick here for me. And then at number 14, the Rams kind of fell ass backwards into having a really great scenario for them. They have basically their two of their top needs, corner and edge. Everyone's basically available. I'm going to take Latu here. I think Latu is, with Dallas Turner, initially I liked the pairing of Byron Young and Dallas Turner as two super speed guys off the edge, but I feel like you need a little bit more of a contrast. There's really no power in those two guys. I mean, Young is a good overall rusher. I think he's pretty well balanced. Same thing with Turner, but you need someone that could win with speed and could win with power as well, and that's Laiatu Latu. He is probably, in terms of raw ability, probably the best edge rusher in the entire class. His age and injury history could ward off a few teams, but he's just a super scheme fit for the Los Angeles Rams, and I think he'd be an amazing impact player right away for them. Then the Denver Broncos at pick number 15 here. I'm going to go edge as well. Dallas Turner, not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for someone that could possibly have the size to play 5 tech here, and that's going to be Braylon Trice, 6'4", 275 pounds. As my friend Dom C from Project Prospect said in a mock that we did recently, he is a bull in a china shop, and I couldn't think of a better way to describe Braylon Trice more, than what Dom said, is a bull in a china shop. Super strong, great length as well. Just, a tremendous overall prospect, and this is going to be someone that could really fill the void that the Denver Broncos have on the interior. I like the offensive tackles that are on the board too, to be quite honest with you. It was tough for me to pass up on Latham and Fuaga, even Graham Barton here, but I think the need on the defensive line trumps everything, and Trice is probably the next best pick to be a 3-4, edge rusher or defensive end. So Trice is the pick here for me. At number 16 with the Arizona Cardinals, they already took Johnny Newton. Got to go wide receiver here. I believe that they got a good thing going. Kyler Murray has, even Greg Dortch is a pretty good option, but you have Rondell Moore. We don't know what Hollywood Brown's doing. Michael Wilson is someone that you could definitely build upon here. So this is going to be Keon Coleman. I think he's just, I know that some people have said that Keon Coleman has that traditional size that fails at the next level. The size, speed, athleticism combination hasn't fared well. You look at, Quentin Johnston, who is relatively the same size as Keon Coleman, how he's fared out so far. Still early. Can't really say that he's a bust yet, but he hasn't looked great. But Coleman just offers a really nice option that could win down the field. Michael Wilson, more of the possession receiver. And you have Rondell Moore, super small. Same thing with Greg Dortch, really more of slot guys. I think this kind of completes a really nice trio for Kyler Murray, and not to mention Trey McBride. So Keon Coleman is the pick here for me at 16. And then tough for the Buffalo Bills to see him go at number 16, but don't fret, because I think Troy Franklin in the Buffalo Bills offense would be absolutely insane. I feel like Troy Franklin is just really a better version of Gabriel Davis. I know that's crazy to say, because Gabe Davis is a very good wide receiver at the NFL level, but I think Troy Franklin can just offer so much more to the Buffalo Bills offense than Gabe Davis can. He's been disappearing lately as well. Franklin is someone that could win with speed. He could win with physicality for his size as well. He's just super versatile, and if Stephon Diggs does come back, this would be just the perfect contrast on the other side of the formation to Stephon Diggs. I think that would be an amazing target for Josh Allen to have. Cincinnati at number 18 here. I couldn't see that for a second. This has been a wide receiver for quite some time here. I'm going to go in a different route. I think with the offensive line still being playing a lot better, not great. Jonah Williams is a free agent. He's expressed in the past that he does not want to, or he requested a trade. So that makes me believe that he doesn't really want to play for the organization anymore. Not only that, you got interior guys that are getting older. Contracts are coming up. I believe Ted Karras and drawing a blank on the other one. Ted Karras and someone's gonna have to say it in the comment section. One of the guards. It's not Cordell Volson, so it's the other one that it's drawing a blank. He played for the Bucks too. Alex Kappa. There you go. So those guys' contracts are coming to an end rather soon as well. I think Talisi Fuaga being here at 18 is a gift. Can play on the inside. Can play right tackle as well. I think this would just be a great addition. Keep that offensive line getting stronger year by year, and eventually being able to keep Joe Burrow upright. You got to protect your number one asset, and that's Joe Burrow. So Talisi Fuaga is going to be the pick for me at 18. At 19, you have the Green Bay Packers here. Pretty simple. J.C. Latham is still on the board. Green Bay would absolutely love to have someone like Latham just a brick wall of a human being, huge offensive tackle, could slot right in there for David Bakhtiari, who's basically as good as gone as a Green Bay Packer. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 20. Interesting. Not in love with the players that are kind of left here. Dallas Turner and Chop Robinson were players that I considered. But I think with the wide receivers that are off the board, there are some wide receiver needy teams that are kind of going to scramble here. And I think Tampa Bay is a team that would be willing to trade down. So the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make a call. They're going to, you got Indy, you have Pittsburgh, and you have Houston are three teams that are possibly looking for wide receivers. So they're going to make a call and they're going to move up. So KC moves up 5 slots here, and they're going to go with Adonai Mitchell. I think Adonai Mitchell, I've said it in previous weeks, is someone that we haven't even seen his best football yet. Super speedy on the outside, 6'4", 200 pounds. He has the size. He's got the hands as well, the playmaking ability. If we haven't seen his best football yet, I can only imagine what he would do with Patrick Mahomes. And I'm sure Patrick Mahomes is very eager to get a wide receiver in general. Doesn't matter who it is, a wide receiver. So I think he would automatically be the primary target besides for Travis Kelce for Patrick Mahomes. Adonai Mitchell, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, that sounds pretty nice to me. Indianapolis at pick number 21. I'm going to go with that size-speed combination out wide again, and I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr., someone that has really grown, 15 touchdowns on 60 catches this past season. That's pretty much what the Indianapolis Colts are looking for. You're looking for a big-time deep threat. You got that in Brian Thomas Jr., someone that has great long speed, amazing size, 6'4", 205 pounds, just a big physical receiver. Can really just win with his speed, and that's what they need. Pittman on one side, great possession receiver. Josh Downs is looking like a great pick in the 3rd round last year. And then you got Brian Thomas Jr. that could win down the field. I really like it. And don't forget Alec Pierce as well. He's a wide receiver 4 that can mix in and out. And then you have the Seattle Seahawks after trading down here. And I feel like regardless of the needs, if Dallas Turner is sitting on the board here at 22, you got to take him. You really do. The edge is a need. I wouldn't say it's the top need for the Seattle Seahawks. I would say that interior offensive line would be, and defensive line would be kind of more the need here. But Dallas Turner sitting here at number 22, you have to take him for sure. And Pittsburgh at number 23 is going to do the impossible. I believe no corners in this mock have been taken so far. And the best one on the board, it's a toss-up for me between Kool-Aid and Nate Wiggins. I think Kool-Aid kind of fits that physicality a little bit more than Nate Wiggins does. And, a super complex defense and a cover 7 over there in Alabama makes me think that he's just a little bit of a smarter player. And he is. He's a leader in the secondary for that Alabama defense. Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be the pick here for me. A lot of people might want a wide receiver. Some might even want tackle or interior offensive line. I think it's a little too early for that, especially the center position, which needs to be upgraded. Way too early for center position here, but Kool-Aid McKinstry is a big-time upgrade on the boundary. Houston at number 24. Didn't really know what I wanted to do here with this pick. I think that if Houston actually picks here, I think this is a prime trade down spot here because Houston doesn't have any crazy glaring needs here at number 24, and I would think that the prime candidate to come and trade up would be the Carolina Panthers from 33 to 24, so it wouldn't be a steep drop-off. But I think with the talent that's left on the board, I think Houston sticks and picks, and I'm going to take Xavier Worthy. I just think Xavier Worthy is, look, you got Nico Collins, who has great size and speed on the outside, 6'4", I believe 215, 218, something like that, has really good speed for his size. Then you got Tank Dell when he comes back healthy next year, just a really twitchy slot guy that has proven to have amazing chemistry with CJ Stroud. And you're looking at Xavier Worthy, who can be that boundary receiver, but with blazing speed, 4.29 his last 40-yard dash. I can only imagine what he's going to run at the combine. All eyes are going to be on Xavier Worthy to see what kind of 40 he runs at the combine. But I think just adding that supreme level of speed to this offense would just be kind of like the icing on the cake for the Houston Texans. That you're really setting up CJ Stroud for success long term with that kind of wide receiving core. Everyone's super young. Don't forget about John Mechie as well. I kind of really love that fit, to be honest with you. And then at 25, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. This is going to be Nate Wiggins. There's just a desperate need of of a secondary upgrade. I was thinking Cam Kinchins, maybe even Cooper DeJean, just because he could play multiple positions, but Nate Wiggins is the second best boundary corner in the entire draft class, and that's definitely what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need here at number 25 after trading down 5 spots. Jacksonville at number 26. This is going to be a defensive line upgrade, and a massive one. And I mean that in both senses of the imagination. I mean a massive player and a massive upgrade. That's going to be T'Vondre Sweat. If you've never seen T'Vondre Sweat play, I know nose guard isn't really a position that gets a lot of people going. It's not necessarily a sexy pick, but at 6'4", 364 pounds, I've never seen someone move as well as he does. He's a game wrecker. That's what he is. And you don't see many nose guards anymore be game wreckers. He really reminds me of Vince Wilfork, just someone that could eat up multiple blocks, be a menace in run defense, and could actually offer something as a pass rusher as well. Just someone that's going to collapse the pocket from the inside is something that I really think that the Jacksonville Jaguars could use in this draft. And I'm going to take T'Vondre Sweat here at number 26. 27, you have the Detroit Lions here. I'm going to go with a perfect scheme fit corner for them, and that's going to be Quinyon Mitchell, someone I've been super high on the past couple of weeks. Just an incredible ball player. He is, I know he plays at Toledo, doesn't play the cream of the crop competition, but just an absolute baller on the outside. The ball skills are there, the production is there, and he's usually left out on an island over there at Toledo, and he holds his own against any wide receiver one. He's a tremendous player. 6'1", 195 pounds, 4.4 speed. Don't really think you could ask much more from a boundary corner. Philadelphia is another prime trade down spot here at number 28. I'm going to hold off on that, but I wouldn't be shocked, especially with the way that Howie Roseman likes to wheel and deal. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him possibly look to trade down here, but sticking and picking at number 28, I'm going to take the best edge rusher for the scheme fit, and that's going to be JT Tuimoloau. I've said this has been a pick for a few weeks for me here. It just makes a lot of sense with Brandon Graham being in his mid-30s, Josh Sweat, I believe, out of a contract. An upgrade on the defensive end is absolutely needed, and Tuimoloau is a game wrecker, 6'4", 270. He has literally wrecked games all by himself before, circa Penn State 2022. This is a great pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. Just they love to build from the lines, and this is just another great pick for them. Miami at number 29, going to go with some help on the entire offensive line, really. Someone that could play pretty much every position, I would say, maybe besides for left tackle, and that's going to be Troy Fautanu for me. Super athletic, super versatile as well. He has been playing, I believe, both tackle positions at Washington, maybe more so right tackle than left, but he's going to project better as a guard or a center at the next level, but he has that tackle experience as well, with Teron Armstead being injured all the time and being old. Don't forget, Tua Tagovailoa is a left-handed corner, so they just locked up their right tackle, which is technically the blind side blocker of the future. So maybe if they like what they see in Fautanu, the athleticism, he can hold his own at left tackle for a left-handed quarterback and be great. And not only that, he could fit all over the offensive line. I just think it's a really, really great pick. And then at 30, you have the Dallas Cowboys here. Going to be another boring pick, quote unquote. It's going to be Graham Barton. Kind of same deal with Fautanu is the same deal with Graham Barton. Could play really anywhere on the offensive line, but with Terrence Steele not having a great season after signing a really big extension, and Tyron Smith getting up there in age, Tyler Smith is your anchor at left guard right now. Steele, I guess, is going to be at least your right tackle of the future for a while. It might be time to draft your left tackle of the future. And Graham Barton is a mean, nasty offensive lineman from Duke, and I think he fits exactly what the Cowboys need on offense. 31, you have the San Francisco 49ers. Pretty simple. I made this pick last week. I'm going to make it again. Cameron Kinchins in San Francisco, red and gold is just a scary thought. The rich get richer on defense. You're looking at a supremely athletic ball-hawking safety who, I'm not even going to lie when I say this, the ball skills absolutely remind me of Ed Reed. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to say another word about that after. And then with the last pick in the first round here, Baltimore, another spot where I think you could see a trade up because there's one quarterback left on the board that could be worth a first round pick. And that fifth year option is absolutely valuable when you're trying to win with a rookie quarterback. That's the name of the game in today's NFL. But Baltimore sticks and picks here. They take the best player that's left on the board, in my personal opinion, Cooper DeJean, someone who's super versatile, can play that nickel cornerback spot that the Baltimore Ravens have been looking to fill for quite some time. Could even play on the boundary, could play at safety as well. Punt returner, just an uber athletic, but after the Tylan Wallace punt return in overtime, not really sure. There's a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans that are going to want to see a different punt returner, but he's just a chess piece that could fit all over the defensive scheme. We saw them take a safety that could fit all over the defensive scheme a couple years ago with Kyle Hamilton. I think Cooper DeJean is another player like that, except he's a little faster, a little bit more athletic, can play that nickel cornerback role as well, and just a tremendous overall player. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is my one round 2024 NFL mock draft with some crazy trades in there. That's 5 trades, not necessarily the record for my first round. I believe 6 was this season, but we got some interesting names in there this week. So if you guys enjoyed the video today, please leave a like and please leave a comment. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so you don't miss any more great draft content just like this. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I see you in the next one.